The resurrection of Jesus is something that inspires a lot of running in people. In Mark's gospel, when Mary Magdalene and the women get to the tomb early in the morning, they run away in fear and astonishment. And in today's gospel, there is a lot of running. Mary is alone. Mary of Magdala, she comes to the tomb trying to anoint the body of Jesus. And when she sees it empty, she doesn't really know what to make of it. She pauses for maybe a little bit, and then she runs to tell Peter, head of the apostles, to tell John, the beloved disciple of Jesus. And they run from where they are to the tomb to see what has happened. Is this lady crazy? Or did Jesus somehow get stolen? Did he resurrect? There's all these questions that they run to find the answers to. And Peter is a little older than John, so he's running as fast as he can, but John is faster, gets there first. And he pauses when he gets to the tomb, and you can only imagine what stirring thoughts must have been in his mind. Peter, finally arriving after his run to the tomb, goes in. And these details are important, that you don't see the body of Jesus, you do see his head, you might say wrappings. They wrapped dead bodies in those days. And that was folded up and placed on its own section, not with the rest of the burial cloths for his body. And the term was in the gospel that he saw and believed. Both Peter and John, they saw and believed. They didn't yet see the risen Jesus head to toe, but they knew that there must be something of God. But the image I'm trying to get at is they ran to the tomb, and then they had to pause, catching their breath to make sense of this reality. I think this is important for us to do the same. You probably, especially if you have little ones, it was an effort to bring them here today, because every little one is a bundle of wiggles and joy, and it can be sometimes difficult to maybe get to church. And so thank you for taking that effort to bring them here. But maybe it was kind of exasperating to do that. And so this hopefully is a time of pause, to catch your breath, to thank God that they are here and you are here, and we can do that. Maybe we've been running all our lives, and we've been trying really hard to maybe get where we want to get. And this is a moment to pause, because I remember at times in my own life when I was running, but I was running away from Jesus. See, the message of Easter is a beautiful pause, not about bunnies, not about baskets, but to ask ourselves, where are we going? Why are we here? What's the point of life? And are we running to Jesus on this path of life that may lead to eternity if we cooperate with God? Or are we just kind of going after one goal after another? That was my experience for many years of life. It was popularity or power or prestige or profit, pleasure, you name it. There's all these things we can run after. And when we do that, we probably have to keep running. Because when we stop to catch our breath, if we're seeking those worldly things, in those moments of clarity, when reality breaks through and we see that our lives are empty, we hate to admit that. We can't bear the truth that there's not enough that this world can satisfy us with. And so it's much easier to just pick another goal and run after that because it distracts us. Or, as you often see, you pick up a screen and you run into that distraction. But that's not what life is about. That's not what Easter is about. That's not why we were created at all. We were not meant to run from one thing to the other. We were meant actually to run to Jesus. I once was running from Jesus because I didn't want to confront the reality that I was not going to be in control of my life anymore. If Jesus was my God and I really lived that way, then I wasn't God. And it wasn't my path that would dictate my days and my steps. Jesus let me run that way for quite a while. And I was very exhausted. And I was a sophomore in college. And one day I went out to run the usual nightly activities, and something very profound happened to me. As I left, it was a windstorm of the night. I didn't care. I was too young to worry about that. As I walked out, and the threshold of the dorm didn't keep the wind blocked anymore, I only made it a couple steps into the strong force of the wind when about a 60-foot tree uprooted itself from the wind and it hit me. Thankfully, it was one of these evergreen-like trees. But the branches just kind of took me to the ground. And I just sort of asked myself, what am I doing? I'm on the ground in a tree. It was a really weird encounter. And someone saw it. They said, "Are you okay? I thought you had died. This tree hit you. Then I didn't see you anymore. I'm so glad you didn't die." And I thank God I didn't die either. I would have gone to hell if I had died right then. I was God. Jesus was not. And in his mercy, he let me see through that encounter and others after it, where was I going? What did my life stand for? What was I running after? It was all about me. It was all very empty. And through the beautiful gifts of God, his reconciliation, through confession, through the church, the sacraments, who am I to be a priest? It was God's gift to redirect me, to change my direction, and to allow me to run to Jesus. Now, they can be scary. As I said, the whole control issue. Well, what about his wounds? That's another scary part of Jesus. He died for us in the death that was free, chosen for us. And he died to transform our wounds. Sometimes we maybe believe in God. We maybe even follow God every week, maybe even every day. But there are certain wounds in us that we don't want to bring to Jesus. There are certain things that we're too embarrassed about, or we just hate to admit. And that's where Jesus, with his pierced hands, now glorified and risen, comes to show us his own wounds and say, look, I've died for you, and I've gone through all of this. So you can bring me those wounds, those, you know what, if there's something right now that is stirring in your hearts, bring that to Jesus. Because when we do this, we can run in the right direction. And here's a beautiful image. Rather than running away from Jesus or running to our own plans, I want you to think of a relay race. I used to run track when I was in high school, and the beautiful gift, you might say, was the 4x100 meter relay at the end. It was a good way to catch up on some points if your team was behind. And it was really dramatic because you'd have 4 runners stationed at each quarter of the track. And they'd have to coordinate, start running early enough, get the baton, hand it off, keep going, and do that all the way around the circuit of the track. And when we cooperate with Jesus, we're not just running on our own, trying to find him, a hidden God who few of us have seen in his head-to-toe form, who wants to reveal himself powerfully in our prayer, in our lives. We can cooperate with Jesus, cooperate with the others in the church. And here's the thought for you today. The running of Peter, James, John, Mary Magdalene, the others who saw Jesus, and then ran to tell the whole world about it, that began the relay race that we are in now, or we are invited to be in. And we coordinate with our faith, it said the disciplines of our faith, to be ready. Someday we're going to get that baton. Maybe we've already got it. Maybe we don't want to drop it. Maybe we have dropped it before. Pick it up if you dropped it. And we take that baton, which for us is the cross of Jesus. The cross which can be hard to take, but the cross that will save us if we allow it to. And we then receive that from this chain of witnesses going all the way back to the first tomb. And we run away from the tomb, from death, from emptiness, from sin, and we run to Jesus. And we find as we go that he is running right beside us. Every step of the way he is guiding us so that we don't give up. If we fall, we can get back up. If we can, as I said, drop the baton, we can pick it up again. This is the goal of the Christian life. The path to heaven is not easy, and certainly not automatic. Don't believe the lies if you have that notion that, everybody... No. There's nothing guaranteed in life. Faith is a gift. We have to receive it. and we can cooperate all the way to heaven. And so 3 practical tips. I'll conclude with this. If you want to be an effective athlete running all the way to heaven and being a good teammate in the church, the first thing I would suggest is pray every day. Thank God for your day. Ask for help. Review the day. Maybe there are sins He can forgive. Maybe there are things you need to really work on. That daily prayer is one great step. The second step is Mass every week. We don't have incense every week. We don't have all the bells and whistles, but Jesus Himself is present, and He's going to be our food. It's not bread we're going to receive if we are going to receive. It is Jesus Himself, 100%, 0% bread. There are changes that happen, and we can be changed if we begin to practice our faith on Sunday, every single Sunday. And then the third thing is confession. I would encourage you to go to confession at least once a month, because we can then be renewed. All the sins that we have can be forgiven. In just a few moments, we'll profess our faith through the renewal of baptismal promises. And the same gift of a new life happens in confession. This may seem overwhelming if maybe we're just tying our shoes or we're just getting back into our faith or whatnot. So I say pick one. Pick one. If you're not doing any prayer on a daily basis, do that. If you come sometimes but not always to church, come next week. See how that goes. And if it's been a long time, allow God to astound you in His mercy, in His refreshing shower of His grace in holy confession. We can run with Jesus. And a beautiful thought to just conclude. In old times, they would run in a stadium, but they didn't have the paving that we have, a nice circular track. So they would run straight, go to the wall, stop, touch the wall, and then come back. And then they'd have a finish line. I want you to think of this day as the point in which you have touched the wall. You're pausing to catch your breath at this very Mass. Now the question is, are you going to run to Jesus, to the finish line? Are you going to take that cross with you from all those who have come before you and finish the race all the way to heaven? That is the choice I leave you with today on this Easter Sunday.